There's so many people out there that are afraid of what might happen to them. And for me, it's not a fear for me because of what I've gone through before with passing away for about 20 minutes and seeing things that most people don't get to see.
One of the most common fears in the world is death. We are terrified of dying. Will it be painful? Will we see a bright light? Is there such thing as an afterlife? Well, some people have actually experienced death before being brought back to life. From a man that died twice while on his way to the hospital, to another that was brought to the afterlife by his deceased family members. Let's talk about these real stories and more only in today's video. Top 10 people who remember dying. Starting off this countdown, we have the cardiac arrest. When Ernest Stoltis was younger, he went into a full cardiac arrest while at a high school football game. He was dead with no heartbeat for a little over 4 minutes. While this was happening, he was seeing flashes of memories from that day. Then he said he remembered a lot of blackness, as if he was going through a tunnel. He described this tunnel as being made of metal. As he was going through this tunnel, he felt euphoria. He said he can't accurately describe the sensation he felt, but he said it felt amazing. And then, out of nowhere, he was back. And probably was in immense pain. Like, imagine going from, peace at last, to damn, my chest and body hurt. Moving on at number 9, we have the rafting trip. And guys, here's your little friendly reminder to hit that thumbs up button because it really helps us out. This next story comes from a woman named Lori. When Lori was 19 years old, she was swept into the rapids while on a rafting trip. When this happened, she was trapped beneath the surface. Water quickly began to fill her lungs. After a while, everything went black and then white, and it felt like she was traveling through a tunnel. Around her, she could see a room made out of pure white clouds. In that room were 3 people. One was larger than the other 2 people. Now, she was scared of these people, but they proceeded to talk to her. From there, they transformed into angels. But they didn't have the typical angel/bird wings. Instead, they were surrounded by this pure light. The light poured out from their skin, forming different colors. These angels then led her to a golden field with music, with a tree and a lake nearby. That's when a rescuer saved her and brought her to safety, right by that same tree she had seen in the afterlife. She was then brought back to life. Moving on at number 8, we have the Peace. This next individual got into a terrible car accident. As a result of the crash, he got a blood clot in his heart and died for a bit. When he woke up, he was surrounded by people yelling at him to breathe. Meanwhile, he was just laying there like, dude, I am breathing. But obviously he wasn't. He had actually died and then woke up. He said that it was peaceful. He didn't see a bright white light or angels or pearly gates. He just felt peace and comfort. In fact, he said that it was the best sleep he ever had. In our 7th spot, we have the overdose. This story comes from a man named Damon. Several years ago, Damon's frat brother died for 45 seconds after overdosing. According to the friend, he was looking down on himself. He could see himself laying down on the hospital bed and could see the nurses working around him. Then he slowly floated through the roof and no longer felt anxious. He was free of worry and regret. And then he saw the infamous white light and a few family members that had passed away. When he was greeted by the family members, they told him that it wasn't his time yet. That's when he floated back down to his body. The guy then went on to say that this experience changed him and he never did drugs again. Just took him a near-death experience to finally stop using. In our 6th spot, we have the anaphylactic reaction. So this story was posted by someone named George Starr. Back in the day, he had an anaphylactic reaction to a Irukandji jellyfish sting, which, if you didn't know, those stings are deadly on their own. But on top of that, he went into anaphylactic shock and he died. When this happened, he saw the white light and saw himself floating upwards. As he was above, he saw his family and the doctors and nurses trying to save him. And it worked because George floated back down to his body and woke up in his body. And that's when he felt intense pain. Yeah, I can only imagine, like the dude literally just died. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the shadow people. This story comes from the user MagicMan0181. Clearly his trick is dying and then coming back to life. Just kidding. But he was in his hospital bed ready to pass away from a bad brain bleed. His family came in and said goodbye to him. And then he saw 3 other people at the foot of his bed. He referred to those people as shadow people. He told his mom what he saw and she said they were angels. But to him, he knew that they were his dead relatives there to guide him to the other side. He knew that he was dying. But nurses ended up saving him by putting him under anesthesia to get his brain to stop bleeding. And it worked, and he lived to tell the tale. Moving on to number 4, we have the long tunnel. For this next individual, when he died, all he saw was a long tunnel. He was then floating through this tunnel, feeling very tired. At one point, he remembers falling asleep and having an odd dream. The dream took place in the kitchen of the house he grew up in. His dad was in the kitchen cooking breakfast. Then all of a sudden he heard commotion and chaos coming from one end of the tunnel. The other end had a warm, peaceful light. Clearly one was the afterlife and the other was the emergency room where his body was in. But he didn't have time to decide where he wanted to go because all of a sudden he was back in his body in the emergency room. Coming in at number 3, we have the peaceful state. Several years ago, this individual was climbing on top of their kitchen counters to grab something from the top cabinet. But while doing so, they slipped and landed headfirst onto the hard marble floor. That's when they died. His mom said he went cold and he had no heartbeat. The next thing this person remembers was walking barefoot in water. He looked up and there was a bright light shining at him. From there, a hand reached out of the white light and ushered him to come towards it. The last thing he remembers is thinking, wow, this is the best deep sleep I've ever had and I never want to wake up. But he did wake up. He woke up to his mom screaming and crying frantically. But she was so relieved to learn that he was alright in the end. Moving on to number 2, we have the motorcycle accident. According to this next individual, they died twice while being transported to a hospital. He had gotten in a really bad motorcycle accident. He died once on the scene and then another time while in the ambulance en route to the hospital. All he remembers is his face hitting the hood of a car at 60 miles per hour. And he wasn't wearing a helmet, so he was lucky that he survived this all. The next thing he remembers was waking up in the emerge at the hospital. And that's it. He remembers nothing else. The time he died while on the way to the hospital, there was nothing, which is kinda depressing. But at least this guy lived to tell the tale. And in our number 1 spot, we have Ernest Hemingway. American novelist Ernest Hemingway is among the many to remember dying. When he was in Italy during World War I serving the American Red Cross, he was attacked by a mortar bomb. He apparently had died for a minute after this bomb went off. This is exactly how he described his experience, and I quote, "I felt my soul or something coming right out of my body, like you'd pull a silk handkerchief out of a pocket by one corner. It flew around and then came back and went in again, and I wasn't dead anymore." I don't know why, but I find that so interesting. Like the whole our soul lives on type of thing. It's truly incredible. Alright guys, that list was absolutely insane. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Speaking of comments, let's move on to our comment shout out portion. I'll be shouting out comments from the video top 10 police officers who disappeared without a trace. Regan Jennings commented on number 4. Lindsay said, "They found the body parts of the 7 officers. They don't know what happened to the other 2 officers. There were 10 officers. 7 plus 2 is 9. 7 plus 3 is 10. LOL. Yeah, you know what? Math really just isn't for me. No, honestly, that was an honest mistake. I was kind of going off the top of my head, and we just forget about it, okay? 3 of the officers are still missing. We'll just go with that. Emma Malilo commented, "Imagine if Lindsay actually reads this comment. I would die of excitement." Well, please don't die. But thank you, Emma. Here's your comment shout out. Ethan Jones commented, "Get them to 7 million right now." Let's do it, guys. Subscribe. Send our videos to your grandma, to your aunt, to your grandpa, everyone. Just send them and then tell them to subscribe. Come on, guys. Alright guys, that's all the comments I'm showing out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shout out. And as as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see you. I'm out of breath. I ran up the stairs. Oh, never mind. Oh, my butt is vibrating. From my phone, not just weird stuff.